Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. I am Mama Wahina Usap. Okay, so let us start. Chapter 14, Trends and Issues on Teaching Learners with Difficulty Remembering and Focusing. Okay, so we all know that not all of the learners they can easily remember and focusing. Okay, next. So this chapter provides on the prevalence of learning disabilities and ADHD in the Philippines. So ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, means a condition that affects the people's behaviors. Yes, a condition that both children and adults can have. And some of the example are student being easily distracted, which are among the common disabilities of learners with difficulty remembering and focusing in the country. Moreover, in acknowledgement that aside from classroom instruction. Okay, so when the teacher asked the learners what we discussed last meeting, so not all of the learners can remember the last discussion. Some of the learners is magtatanong pa ano nga yung discuss last meeting. Other school support services are crucial as well in the success of an inclusive education program. A research on the effect of support services to college students with learning disabilities and ADHD is presented. Okay, so intend learning outcome. Plan appropriate instructional actions based on trends and issues in teaching learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So number one, prevalence of learning disabilities and ADHD in the Philippines. So learning disabilities and ADHD are among the common disabilities of students who receive inclusive education in the Philippines. Based on extrapolated statistics, there is an estimate 1,458,999 cases of learning disabilities in the Philippines. It is a right diagnosis 2018. On the other hand, the extrapolated statistics estimated for ADHD prevalence in the Philippines is 1,046,314 cases by Mindment 2018. Due to the large number of learners with these conditions, it is important to pay attention to strategies and techniques that can be used in order to provide effective inclusive education to learners with learning disabilities and ADHD. And also, more support services are important as well in order to provide them with holistic, inclusive education. So, since there's a large number of cases in the Philippines, we need to pay attention to this, like how we can apply our strategies and techniques that can be used in order to provide effective, inclusive education to learners with learning disabilities and ADHD. Okay, so number two, support services for students with learning disabilities and ADHD. Aside from providing learners with disabilities proper techniques and strategies in inclusive education, support services are crucial as well for the success of the program. Among the support services typically provided to students with disabilities are educational accommodations to support performance in reading, writing, mathematics, time management, and completing exams. So we, as a teacher or as an instructor, we need to support the performance of the learners with disabilities in reading, writing, mathematics, time management, and completing exams. Okay, so psychosocial treatment in order to help the students with emotional and behavior therapy, individual counseling, stress reduction strategies, anger management, and self-promotion. For example, reaching them about getting proper sleep and adequate nutrition. There are also educational interventions that aim to provide instruction in specific academic content area skills, training methods to organize course materials and tasks, how to study for tests, how to take class notes, and providing ongoing support or coaching in implementing strategies or practicing newly learned academic skills.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Hayan Pangiraman and the last reporter in our group. So I will go to discuss the effectiveness of various support services on academic performance of college students with learning disabilities and ADHD by the study conducted by DePaul and colleagues in 2017. In order to create an inclusive classroom where all students are respected, it is important to provide support services, especially for students with disabilities. So the term academic support refers to a wide variety of instructional methods, educational services, or school resources provided to students in order to help them accelerate their learning progress, catch up with their peers, meeting learning standards, or succeed in school in general. So very few studies focuses on testing the efficacy and effectiveness of educational intervention support services, such as providing supplemental instruction in specific academic skills and executive function coaching, especially among college students with learning disorders and ADHD. So that is the reason why Paul and colleagues studied the effectiveness of various support services on the academic performance of college students with learning disabilities and ADHD. So they look at the three kinds of support system, which is stated the tutoring, the class advising, and coaching. So the first one is tutoring. So this provides opportunity for a learner to avail tutoring services. In tutoring, they provide sessions in which intended to help students in writing, reading, note-taking, preparation for tests, content-specific tutoring, and other related topics. So, children with learning difficulties have a hard time learning in a group environment, especially when there is no individualized help. So, tutoring could better help to overcome those difficulties. Next is coaching. So coaching is a non-directive approach was used by coaches aiming to foster metacognitive thinking and self-determination among the students. So it is one-on-one session giving students an access to a coaching center being coached by professional faculties and staff to enhance the students' academic function and self-determination. So next is academic advising. So done by assigned advisors, which aims students to reflect on their academic progress, especially in the results of their written works and class participation. So the support here is to assist learners in setting their academic goals and adjustments to effectively advise students and to effectively advise students with disabilities, it requires a thorough understanding of learners' academic goals and as well as the student's disability, the educational barriers occurs, and so on. So moving forward, the effect of these support services on students' grade point average or GPA was investigated to know if the student with learning disabilities and ADHD will benefit in the academic support services such as advising, coaching, and tutoring. So they look at the usage of the support services in the number of hours spent in these services on a 5-year period and if it has effect on their grades. And prior to this study, the poll concluded that most of the students who avail the coaching support services increased their academic performance, and on the other hand, tutoring benefited all students, but only those who have learning disabilities experience significant gain in their GPA. So this indicates that there's a need to provide targeted support in accordance to the type of the learning difficulties the student have. And thus, tutoring procedures involve procedures with immediate feedback, are known to be successful for learners with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. So that's will be all for my report. Thank you very much for listening.